Welcome to the Apostolic Voice with Doctors Mark and Jill Kaufman.
Welcome to the Apostolic Voice. I'm your host, Dr. Mark Kaufman. We're so glad that you joined in today for this very special message. So let's go right into Kingdom Broadcasting Network studio and hear the word of the Lord. Thank you for joining us today.
I love what it says in Matthew 8. It says Jesus came to his disciples and told them to get in the boat. I command you to cross over to the other side. And there were a lot of them that said, oh, that sounds like a great thing, even some that weren't a part of the original. And one of them said, I'll follow you. I'll go. And he said, wait. Think about it. The Son of Man has no place to lay his head. Foxes have their dens and birds have their nests, but I don't have that. What he was saying to me, he was saying, you're gonna have to have a pioneer spirit. You're gonna have to keep moving. You can't settle. You're gonna have to keep moving on the cutting edge if you're gonna follow me now and cross over into this new realm. And then others ones, so I'll do it. I'll follow you. And said, well, but my father, and back then the tradition was you go and you wait for your father to die. He said, hey, if you're going to do that, if you're going to hesitate, you might as well just stay. Let the dead bury their own dead. Well, that sounds mean, but he was saying, hey, if you're going to stay with those dead things and let them rule you, you'll never move ahead into the things that I have for you in this day that you have to be willing to cross over. Now, they started crossing over to the other side, and what happened in the middle of the lake? Anybody know? It says a furious storm arose. I think at that time they got their prophecy notebook out and said, where did Jesus ever say that when we went on this trip, this was going to take place? I mean, there's no prophetic word about this storm. And yet it took place. You know what I think? I think that was a demonic storm. You know why? Jesus addressed it like that. Peace, be still. He spoke to it like a thing, right? And then I think they knew those demons in that Gadarene on the other side, coming out of the death culture that were ruling everything that took place along that coast, knew what was getting ready to take place. And they said, Jesus is in the boat, but he's asleep. Maybe we can get the disciples to back up and retreat. Now, what the Lord said to me is, for the church, the ecclesia, that was COVID-19. Here we're moving, advancing, we're going across, we're going over to the other side, we're going to deal with some controlling territorial spirits, we're going to deal with nations and generations, we're on this assignment, we're going to do this work, and the enemy stirred up a furious storm. Now, the disciples, they go and wake Jesus up, right? And he wakes up, he's asleep, he's at peace, he's already commanded the thing. He's like, I know where we're going, just go and do what I said, but they wake him up in a panic. These seasoned fishermen, it's so bad, they said, we're getting ready to die, don't you care? This is COVID. This is real. Come on, help me out. I remember my dad was talking when my dad got COVID. We were in a renovation in our house, so we were staying with him in his house. We thought it was going to be for a short time, and then it was, COVID-19. So it was longer and stronger than we planned, all the things that were happening and shut down. And I remember him talking to Guillermo Maldonado, and my dad has COVID at that time, and, he's 80, 70, whatever it was. So it's not a great thing. So I remember Guillermo just saying, he called him Dad, spiritual dad, Daddy, this is what I found out. I found out COVID, it's not just a disease or a virus, it's a demon, and you got to cast it out. And so we began to do that and began to deal with that. And of course, we all had COVID for a little bit, but we got through it. But what the Lord said to me is that, and not just a natural virus, this is like a computer virus. And you know what a computer virus does? It wants to get into your system, and what does it want to do? Muck up the system. It wants to begin to cause things to not work right, and ultimately, he wants to shut it down, a fatal error, right? So this is what the enemy was doing. He's trying to put a computer virus or a virus into our system. And the Lord said it was made up of three things: fear, fatigue, and fatalism. And fear, what does it do? It comes to make you back up, to make you be a coward, make you run away from the things you're called to intimidate you. Fatigue comes to wear you down until it can take you out. And fatalism says, hey, what can we do? It's the last days. It's been prophesied. It's just going to end up this way. We're not just going along for the ride. We can't do anything today. But know about you, but I can't find any place in the Bible where it says give up and give in. It says, I want you to occupy until I come. I've given you power and authority over all the power of the enemy. I want you to contend to win with everything you've got. And when you're translated, when you're raptured, whatever you want to call it, resurrected, whatever, you've done everything you can. And God says, okay, I'm going to immortalize you and we're going to finish the thing and come back and judge and make war and we're going to do this work. They woke Jesus up, and Jesus turns to his disciples and says something a little harsh. He says, where is your faith, and why are you so afraid? What was he saying to him? Did I get out of the boat? Did I change my command? Have I decreed something over your life? Is the dream still real? Is that what I have said about you? Then have faith. I think they could have spoken to the storm if they would have just understood that the awakening wasn't to awaken Jesus. Jesus said, you need to awaken and understand who you are in the land and that you have authority. Because they marveled, oh, who is this that can speak to the winds and waves? And he's saying, don't you know? That's what I've made you to do. There'll be days when you'll be the one that will shift the atmosphere because of your faith, of how you will operate. God had a dream for mankind. The earth is dark and in chaos and devil's prison planet, if you want to call it that. And I want to create a family. I want sons and daughters. I want ones that will love me and out of their heart and their will. And I'm going to give them a free will. And I'm going to put a little atmosphere of heaven down there, and then I'm going to bless Adam and Eve and make them my image and likeness, and then I'm going to call them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth with my glory, and subdue and have dominion, and they're going to rule for me. They're going to represent me rightly. And then the enemy came in and deceived, hath God said. See, rebellion doesn't start with rebellion. It starts with deception. And once you believe the lie, then you give an opening for the enemy now to put you in a place where you will rebel against the very thing that you are called to do. Because you know what he convinced Eve of? He convinced Eve that she was a victim of the Garden of Eden. Can you imagine? That's where we want to go. That's where we want to be. She was there. And yet she listened to the enemy and she believed. And so the enemy will come to you subtly and say, God's holding out on you. This call of God is hard. Oh, the stuff you can't do or you're required to do, and on, and make you feel like a victim of the very call of God that's upon your life, to get you to rebel against what you were made for. I've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. So I want to take a few moments as we're finishing up some things that I want to talk about, and talk about the dream stealers. Why is that? We all have them. We all deal with them. We all walk through the reality of having a mission, having a calling, having a dream. It could be over your family. It could be over your life. It could be over your territory. I believe we're in a time that God's really moving in our nation. We're still in a Cyrus season. If you remember Isaiah 45, Cyrus was a secular conqueror who came to the walls of Babylon that everybody said could never be conquered. But he was not just a man that was a conqueror. He was a man that was anointed, we know in Isaiah 45, are called to be a conqueror. And so I believe God gave him a divine strategy and said, no, you're not going to fight the way everybody else has. You're going to go and dry up the river Euphrates. You're going to open up the double doors, and you're going to walk in and hardly fire a shot and take over Babylon. And then you know who was waiting for him there? The holy prophet Daniel, who I think went up to him and said, hey, what's your name? Is it Cyrus? Yeah, my name's Cyrus. Oh, can I show you in this scroll that this prophet named Isaiah a couple hundred years ago prophesied something? And you know what? Your name is in there. And the sovereign God says that you are his anointed and you are called to set his captives free. And you're supposed to send them back to their land with weaponry and with abilities to be able to have a sword and a trowel in one hand and in the other. And they're supposed to restore the righteous foundations, and they're supposed to restore worship in the land. And that this is your command to release a decree. My wife actually about 20-something years ago wrote a book called The Cyrus Decree before you could ever imagine where we are today. And that began to take place, but not without great, great opposition. You can read about it in Nehemiah 4. That's where we're living, still there. But you know what happened? That Cyrus decree came into effect. They did a certain amount of the work, and then other administrations arose and stopped it completely, opposed it, and persecuted the people trying to do it. That could never happen, could it? But the wonderful thing is on the other end, when Darius and Artaxerxes, these other kings came into power, you know what? They said, search the royal treasury, see if there's not a previous decree. And when they discovered that thing, you know what happened? They not only enforced the original decree, but then they enhanced it, and they say, hey, well, he did that. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take all the taxes from Babylon, and I'm going to build the temple. I mean, they went for it. Could it be that we're living in a day like that? That God says, don't give up on that dream. Don't give up on what God's decreed over America, over your life, over your city, over your territory. Let me just give you, as we finish up the dream stealers that I want to talk about today, is I just want to pray for you. I just want you to receive from what God is saying. I'm going to use Joseph because, you know, he's a dreamer. He's favored. He's blessed. His father loves him. Got a great prophetic word. This dream came over his life. Sun and moon, bow down. Come on. Grain, bow down to me. I mean, man, I'm so excited. I'm going to share it with my brothers. And they're going to be so excited. They're going to hit me on the back, and they're going to embrace me and throw me in a pit. You know what we call the pit, right? In the prophetic circle, prophet in training. All right. So thrown into the pit. Can you imagine the one you hoped would celebrate you are the ones that are jealous and betray you? Wanted to kill him. At least had enough wisdom to say, no, we better not. But we're going to rip that coat of favor off of his life, that beautiful coat that his father had made for him, of that blessing that spoke of how much his father loved him. And we're taking it and we're sprinkling some blood on it. We're taking it back to Dad and said, he's dead. Dad cried so bad, he could hardly breathe. Sometimes it's easy to forgive people that hurt you, but when they hurt somebody you love. A lot of times as a pastor over 40 years, I've been able to reconcile people that individually have had upset, but when they're upset for somebody else, they're not a part of the reconciliation. And so from that side view, they're mad about what took place, and they never get grace. They never get it right. And it gets them off track. Hurt his dad bad. His brothers. What do you mean? I'm a Christian. I go to church. You don't get hurt in church. No elder would ever hurt me. Nobody as a leadership would ever say something mean. Nobody would betray me. Talk to Jesus. Talk to Joseph. In order to steal the dream out of your heart, most ministers quit the ministry because of hurt, not because of money or moral failures, because of hurt. So he wants to hurt your heart. Just three more. Turn your heart. What does that mean? He went to Egypt, didn't want to go there. Didn't ask to be there. He was on a job he never asked to have. He was in a position he didn't clamor for. He was there because of everybody else's decision, it felt like, and he was at the wrong end of a lot of bad decisions. And yet, in Egypt, he believes there's still a code of favor upon him.
If you are one of the many who have read Kings Arise by Dr. Mark Kaufman, then you're going to love his new book. Reigning as Kings, It's Time to Roar. Reigning as Kings reveals your destiny as the king that God has called you to be in this world. In your divine calling, Dr. Kaufman reveals how to live this truth and walk it out page after page. Dive into the deep truth of your identity in Christ and how you are created to reign with him here on the earth in dominion glory. Each chapter reveals the high calling of God on your life and the ways that you can exercise your kingship here and now. Kings, it's not only just time to arise, but it's time to roar and show the world the revelation of Jesus Christ through our lives and the authority he has given us. To order your copy to begin reigning as a king, visit drmarkkaufman.org today. Now back to the Apostolic Voice.
What happened with Joseph? Oh, he just had faith enough to use his gift. And he went to Potiphar's house and boom, 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 boom. He's all of a sudden at the top again. How does he get there? He didn't let his heart get so hurt that he couldn't still do the work. So he got back in there and was faithful. He used the gift that God had given to him. Before you know it, he had that coat of favor back on him. And Potiphar looked at him and said, hey, I don't even worry about you. In fact, I'll go away, and I know everything's going to be taken care of. And that's how much trust he had in him. But yet Potiphar's wife says, hey, this guy's got something. He's handsome. He's blessed. I want some of that. And she comes to knock on his heart and say, hey, either you do it the Egyptian way. I don't care how hard you've worked, how much you lost, and how much you've regained. You're going to lose it all. If you don't compromise right now, you don't think that's a temptation. Look, you're in Egypt. Who's watching? Nobody. Where's your family? Nowhere around. How did you end up there? Everybody did you wrong. What about that dream? Well, that must have been a pipe dream. Does God love you? I don't think so, because I got put in a pit, sold down by my brothers, and now I'm in Egypt, and I don't even want to be here, and I've done my best. Look what I got. Look what I gained. And he says, I will not betray my God, and I will not betray my master. You have to make a determination to fight yourself sometimes. He didn't get in a pity party. You know what she did? She ripped that coat of favor right off of him. Took it to Potiphar, and I'm sure he thought, Potiphar will never believe this about me. I mean, we're solid, we're together. I served him so well. Sure enough, false accusation. How could you do that? Thrown in prison. Are you kidding me? God? Now I really am going to forget the dream. Now forget you, God. If this is the way ministry is, if this is the way the people of God are, if this is the way it is, and when I try to do what's right in your sight, and this is all I get, forget you, God. The dream is all washed away. My tears have been so deep, I'm no way getting back up again. And yet, she ripped that coat of favor off him, and he said, somehow, I don't know, in that dark, deep dungeon, as dark as you could think, that depression, that place where it looked like there's no hope, no way that this dream could ever be fulfilled, he says, okay, I'm starting over. I'm bankrupt. Okay, I'm broken. Okay, I lost everything. Okay, I was a millionaire and I got nothing. Okay, God, if I did it once, I can do it again. Are you kidding me? All right, I'm in a prison, but I could be a good prisoner. And then some guys come and have the audacity to say, hey, I hear that there's something special about you. You got a prophetic gift. And I'm sure he's thinking, dreams? No. Dreams? That's nothing but a lot of pain in my life have come through doing this prophetic. No. You go and find somebody else. I don't want to interpret your dream. Come on. I'm not talking to anybody here today. And he says, okay, butler, baker, go ahead. There is a gift on me. I'm going to use it. He could have just tried to placate and just make them both happy, but he had two different words. One was, I see God lifting up your head. And the other one was very similar but different. I see God lifting off your head. Now, anyhow, but he was willing to say it, right? He said the truth. He didn't get itching ear, I'm going to tell them what they want to hear. No, I'm going to tell them the truth. And sure enough, he says, one thing. Can you not forget me when you finally get this word fulfilled in your life? How many know one day longer in the dungeon when you have fulfilled the will? What is it? You have neither faith and patience to receive the promise. One day in the dungeon, in the dark, after you've done what is right, feels like a year. I don't know how long it was for sure, but it was long enough that he probably thought, I have been forgotten. This guy's up at Pharaoh's house, and I did what God asked me to and interpreted his dream. Not one thing came back to me. He didn't give me an offering. He didn't pat me on the back. He didn't give me a good word. He didn't applaud. He just got his thing and went on. Until the kingdom came into difficulty. And a dream came to the Pharaoh. And yeah, I know somebody that knows God. I know somebody that prays and things happen. I know somebody, you need to get that Joseph guy down there in prison. Oh, okay, brings him up. And sure enough, that gift works. He interprets the dream. And so, if he can't turn your heart, hurt your heart, turn your heart, he'll try to make your heart sick, because delay will make your heart sick. But ultimately, where God was taking him was to the Pharaoh's house. And this is the biggest test that he had. And then maybe ours too. Will you harden your heart? And I won't take time to read all the scriptures about hardening your heart, but it talks about it much in scripture. He got the fulfillment that he thought he needed the most when he went to the right hand, but that was not the fulfillment of the dream at all. Here he is. Yeah, he did the thing with the 7 years and the cows and all the thing, he did it, and he's now blessed and at the right hand of Pharaoh, given a name in Egypt, and he's famous. He's like at the top. And then what happens? A famine in the land, and his brothers come knocking on the door of Pharaoh. What were they asking for? Grain. What was the dream about? His family bowing down to him for grain. They don't even know him. He is so changed, they don't recognize him. He doesn't have that chance to gloat and say, hey, see, you did this to me and look where I am today. He didn't even take that. He does check him out a little bit. He puts a little vessel in the youngest and says, send you away, and then I'm going to bring him back, and I'm going to do this to him, and I'll keep him, you go. And they, no, we're not doing this again. We did it to Joseph. We're not doing it again. And then the day comes, and Joseph has the big reveal. I'm your brother, Joseph. And I'm sure they go, we're dead, man. This is the worst ever. I can't believe Joseph is the one in charge. Oh, no, we're never getting grain. We're getting something a lot worse than that today. And what does Joseph do? He cries. He hugs them. He said, what you meant for evil. Listen, what you meant for evil, God meant for your good and my good. God sent me here before you to eat. Oh, God sent me to Egypt. Oh, come on. You mean all this junk that you've been through for all these years? God, you're now saying God did all that to set you up, to put you in that position that now you can fulfill the dream to say, I forgive you. I give to you. I bless those that curse me. I'm going to love you. I'm going to receive you. Actually, you're going to become a great nation because I'm now in a position to bless you in a way that would have never taken place. God used my pain for his greater purpose. What did he learn in the house of Potiphar? All about agriculture. What did he learn in the palace prison? He learned all about the government and how it works and all the good and the bad and the uglies and the in-betweens. When he got to that position, that was the dream. What did all that stuff that he walked through do for him? Because he kept a right heart. It prepared him. Can you lift your hands toward the Lord? In fact, why don't you mind just standing up with me? Lift your hands toward heaven. Listen, I don't know what you've been through. I may be a prophet, an apostle, but I don't know everything. We just know in part, prophesy in part, but God does. Lift up your hands because there's a coat of favor upon your life. There's a mantle that God's decreed is yours. God's blessed you in ways that only he could. And his Father's blessing is upon you, the manifold wisdom of God. And that somebody brought up a manifestation of the multicolored mantle. And there it was upon him again at the right hand of Pharaoh. Jesus is on the cross, displayed in humiliation, came into his own received him not. Even his own guides were denying him and running away. In the moment, even for a moment, he felt like, Father, have you forsaken me too? It felt like all of the weight of sin and pain and everything was upon him. And somehow, he was able to look upon his tormentors, those saying, crucify him, kill him, and say, Father, I'm not going to call those 10,000 of angels that I could because I have a rightful place. And I said in the garden, I am he, and they all fell down. They know there's a strength of my glory and my capacity that I could, as the Lord of hosts, the Lord of the angel armies, bang, I could deal vengeance right now, but that's not what I came for. The dream was about the preservation of a nation. The dream was about the restoration of his family. The dream was about something more than just him. It was about what was on on the other side of his obedience, Jesus said, I choose to say, Father, I forgive them. They don't really know what they did to me, but in the midst of it, I believe you had a plan. You had a dream. You had a calling, and I'm not letting go of it. I'm not going to give up now after all that I've been through and say, oh, now I'm going to take it out. No, I'm bringing healing and forgiveness and life and restoration. That's the dream that you decreed is mine. And so, Father, as I lift my hands towards you with this crowd, I'm just saying, God, I'm not going to let the dream be stolen out of my heart. The enemy can't betray me enough through my brothers. The enemy cannot turn and cause me to compromise. The enemy cannot bring me into a place of delay where I get heartsick and quit and stop using my gift. God, I will not take vengeance when you said that's not the time. Now is a time of reconciliation. Now is a time of forgiveness. Now is a time that I'm going to let my heart not harden, but soften and be healed and made right, because I believe you are the dream giver and you're the dream fulfiller. If I'm like Abraham having to sacrifice Isaac, the only way that looks like I'll ever see the promise of being a father of many nations fulfilled, I'll put him on the altar and just say, God, you're Jehovah Jireh. You know how to provide. I'm just going to do what you require of me again and again. I just want to be good and faithful. I want to hear your words say, son, daughter, you did it right when you were done wrong. Son, daughter, you didn't lose the vision when the enemy did everything to try to intimidate you, to turn you, to pull you back, to say, quit. You got up again. You're a champion. And because you are, you're going to bring change into this world. Look what happened for the children of Israel in Egypt. It was an amazing thing. God had prophesied they were going to grow and be a great nation and go out called to fulfill the promise. Father, I bless each one right now. And Lord, if there's a thing that we need to ask you to forgive us for, if there's something that we need to forgive, if there's something that we need to let go of, if there's something we need to shift in our mentality about, then we're lifting up our hands to you and say, God, I want to be like Jesus. And if you could say that then, Jesus, with all that you went through, how could I be one that can't? How could I be one that would hold a grudge? How could I be one that would harden my heart? How could I be one that would quit on you? And so, Father, we just lift up our hands. Now, Jesus breathed upon his disciples and they received the Holy Spirit. I breathe a fresh second wind, a breath of God again upon each one. I loose your life into every vessel here. And that, Father, we decree if we've gotten knocked down, we're not staying down. We're getting back up again. And we're fulfilling what we were made for. We were made for this day.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of The Apostolic Voice. Join us next week at the same time here on The Apostolic Voice. God bless you. Have a God-favored day.
Thank you for watching The Apostolic Voice with Doctors Mark and Jill Kaufman.